What is up, guys? It is Bad Dog, and I am here with my all-time top 10 favorite New York sports moments. Now, these moments that you're about to see are my all-time top 10, the top 10 that I witnessed growing up as a Yankees, Giants, Knicks, and Rangers fan. Things that I witnessed through my 35 years of rooting for these teams, some of the most unbelievable moments. I've been blessed to see 10 championships between these teams. And I had a really fun time going back and reliving some of these moments because we all know that New York sports has not been the best in the last 7 years. So to go back and relive some of the moments that I really cherished growing up as a fan has been a lot of fun. I'm going to start off the countdown with number 10, and that is the dunk by John Starks. This was an absolutely special moment in the history of Madison Square Garden. It was the 1993 Eastern Conference Finals Game 2 between the Bulls and Knicks. And they had a great rivalry in the late 80s and early 90s, the Bulls and Knicks. The Bulls had previously knocked the Knicks out of the playoffs in 1989, 1991, and 1992. In 1992, many experts said that the Bulls were going to sweep the Knicks right out of the Eastern Conference semifinals. The Knicks took them to 7 games and really gave the Bulls all they could handle. The next year, the Knicks came back with renewed determination and set a franchise record by winning 60 games, having home court advantage throughout the Eastern Conference playoffs. So the Knicks took Game 1 behind 5 three-pointers by John Starks. And in Game 2, they had a big lead, which seemed to dwindle down as the waning moments happened in the fourth quarter. Bill Cartwright had just went to the free throw line with the attempt to cut the lead to 1, but he missed both free throws. John Starks grabbed the rebound, and the rest is history.
There's 50 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Starks. Yes! What a move by Starks, who was able to sky to the basket. Here it is.
B.J. Armstrong expects help now. He's looking around. He gets picked off. No help comes, and Starks goes. Oh, so big. And look who was at the top. None other than Michael Jordan. And he couldn't do anything about it.
Number 9, I have the 1986 Giants winning Super Bowl 21. Now, this game may have been higher on my list, except for the fact that I did not have to suffer through the 1970s like a lot of Giants fans who dealt with really, really poor teams throughout the decade. By the time I started following the Giants in 1984, they'd actually gotten pretty good, even though they had just come off a horrible season in 1983 where they won 3 games. 1984, they completely turned it around, beat the Rams in a wild card round of the playoffs before losing to the eventual champion 49ers in the next round. 1985, the New York Giants had their first home playoff game since 1963 and promptly walloped the San Francisco 49ers 17-3 before getting wiped out in Soldier Field in that incredible 85 Bears team 21-0. Going into the 1986 season, there was a lot of turmoil and question marks surrounding the New York Giants as their best player, Lawrence Taylor's drug problems became widely known around the league and in the public. The Giants lost Game 1 in a tough loss against the Dallas Cowboys on opening night as Herschel Walker ran right past Lawrence Taylor for the game-winning touchdown in a 31-28 loss. But after that moment, the New York Giants went on an epic run, winning 17 of their next 18 games, led by linebacker Lawrence Taylor, who had 20.5 sacks and won the Defensive Player of the Year and MVP in 1986. They were also led on offense by Phil Simms, Mark Bavaro, and Joe Morris. Phil Simms had dealt with a lot of adversity himself, as early in his career he was benched, booed, and often injured. 1986 he even struggled throughout the regular season, but in the playoffs he caught fire. And in Super Bowl 21, Phil Simms had one of the most improbable games in the history of the Super Bowl, completing 22 of 25 passes for 268 yards and 3 touchdowns, winning Most Valuable Player. Number 9, the New York Giants win Super Bowl 21.
After Rutledge got the first down, Parcells' next call was for Simms to pass the Giants to a championship. Simms led the Giants to scores on 5 straight second-half possessions, in one of the best performances by a quarterback in Super Bowl history. His final touchdown confirmed. On this night, Phil Simms could do no wrong.
I looked up the scoreboard and I said, we've won the Super Bowl. It's over. We have now won.
Simms could no longer be described as the quarterback who would never lead his team to a championship. Now his title was Super Bowl MVP.
Number 8, I have the 2011 New York Giants winning Super Bowl 46. Now, going into 2011, there were a lot of questions surrounding Eli Manning and was he an elite quarterback. He was asked that point blank on New York Sports Radio, and Eli Manning came right out and said he did believe he was an elite quarterback. And in 2011, he performed like one, throwing for almost 5,000 yards and setting an NFL record with 15 fourth-quarter touchdown passes. Eli Manning put the offense on his back in 2011 as he was hampered by the worst rushing offense in the NFL and the 30th ranked defense in the NFL. The New York Giants struggled through the regular season, finishing 9-7, but winning the divisional showdown with the Dallas Cowboys in the last game of the season. Once the Giants got into the playoffs, they caught fire and went on a great run, smashing the Falcons 24-2, beating the 15-1 Packers 37-20 at Lambeau Field, and going into San Francisco. Playing against one of the toughest defenses in the league, Eli Manning was constantly knocked down, sacked 6 times, but he showed his grit and toughness by throwing for over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, leading the Giants' offense. The game would eventually go into overtime, and the Giants would win it on a Lawrence Tynes field goal, sending them into the Super Bowl. The Giants found themselves down late in the game, as they had once before. And with the Giants needing a huge play, they were once again led by Eli Manning, who threw one of the greatest passes you will ever see to Mario Manningham.
4-man rush. Eli throwing into traffic on the sideline. They're going to rule it a catch by Manningham. Along the sideline, they're going to spot the ball at the 50-yard line.
This is absolutely brilliant. If he makes this play, let's watch his feet. Clean catch. I think he got him.
Number 7, I have the New York Rangers winning the 1994 Stanley Cup. Now, I'm a casual Rangers fan. I can never claim myself a diehard Rangers fan, but during high school, this was my senior year in high school, and I actually did follow the Rangers quite a bit because one of my best friends was a hockey fan. I started following the Rangers in 1992 and really followed them very closely right through 1996. The Rangers had not won a Stanley Cup since 1940, and they had a fantastic year led by Mark Messier and Brian Leetch, and of course, goalie Mike Richter. They played an incredibly tough series against the New Jersey Devils. And of course, Stephane Matteau's goal in overtime sent the Rangers to the 1994 Stanley Cup Final. Once again, the New York Rangers fought tough and had an incredibly tough battle against the Vancouver Canucks. Ultimately, the New York Rangers would go on and win the Stanley Cup Final, bringing Lord Stanley's Cup home to New York for the first time in 54 years.
Keesoff for the Devils plays it cross ice into the far corner. Matteau swoops in to intercept. Matteau behind the net. Swings it in front. He scores! Matteau! 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 Stephane Matteau! And the Rangers have one more hill to climb, baby! But it's Mount Vancouver! The Rangers are headed to the final!
The waiting is over. The New York Rangers are the Stanley Cup champions. And this one will last a lifetime. No more curses. This is unbelievable. These people have waited a long time. Fans, players, coaches. Unbelievable. Let the celebration begin. What a series. 2 fabulous teams. Vancouver lost, but hockey was a winner for the New York Rangers and their supporters. No more 1940. It's gone. Congratulations, Rangers.
The 1994 New York Rangers have done it. And for every Ranger that ever put on a uniform, they can stand with pride. What a moment.
Number 6, I have the Yankees three-peat from 1998 through 2000. The 1998 Yankees are widely considered one of the greatest teams in the history of baseball, winning 125 games while losing only 50. They were led by a well-balanced offense of Derek Jeter, batting champion Bernie Williams, Paul O'Neill, Tino Martinez, Darryl Strawberry, and Jorge Posada. They also had a great pitching staff led by David Wells, David Cohn, and Orlando Hernandez. They went on to defeat the San Diego Padres in the 1998 World Series 4-0. And in 1999, the Yankees would come back the same way, defending champions, go through the regular season as they always did, get into the playoffs, run the table, and beat the Atlanta Braves 4-0 in the World Series. In 2000, the Yankees did not have a great year. They only won 87 regular season games, but it was enough to win the division. They went on and got hot in the playoffs once again and found themselves in the World Series against the crosstown rival New York Mets. The Subway Series was a fantastic series, and although the Yankees won the series 4-1, it was not indicative of how close that World Series was. However, the New York Yankees were able to win that trophy, and that was a good thing for George Steinbrenner and the Yankees, because if they would have lost to the Mets, I don't know what the boss would have done. But the Yankees were able to close it out, as Mike Piazza's last out scared the Yankees as he got into it. Looked like it might have went out of the park, but it died in center field. Bernie Williams squeezed it, and the Yankees had won the championship for the third straight season.
The starter of tonight's game as Sweeney grounds to third. Brosius fittingly with a throw, and the Yankees have done it again. Number 24. They are the world champions of baseball in 1998.
The crowd standing, cameras flashing, and Rivera cool as a cucumber. The 1-0. Swung on, hit in the air to left center. Bernie trots over. Curtis is there. Curtis makes the catch. Ball game over. World Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win. The New York Yankees, for the second straight year, for the third time in the last 4 years, and for the 25th time in their glorious history, have once again reached the pinnacle of the sports world. The 1999 New York Yankees, the team of the century, are world champions. And the world...
For the third time in a row, fourth time in 5 years, and 26th time in franchise history, they are the world champions.
Number 5, I have a tie. The 2001 World Series was a very emotional one, as we all know that the terrorist attacks happened in New York City on 9/11 of that season. The New York Yankees, who were widely hated by everybody in baseball, actually found people rooting for them to win this World Series. They were going up against a very tough Arizona Diamondbacks team led by the pitching of Curt Schilling and Randy Johnson. The Yankees were in deep trouble as the bats had went silent against the tough pitching and found themselves trailing in the series 2-1. They found themselves trailing 3-1 in the bottom of the ninth inning and were in danger of going down in the series 3-1 when TINO Martinez stepped up with 2 men out, 1 man on, and the rest is history.
1 on, 2 out. Martinez hits one to deep right center field. At the wall. Tie game.
After Tino Martinez's home run, the Yankees found themselves in a similar situation the very next night with the series tied at 2. They found themselves down 2-0 in the bottom of the ninth inning. And the one thing I can remember about this World Series, or these 2 games in particular, was I was watching this in my bedroom at the time. And the Yankees were down in the ninth inning with Tino coming up. And I can remember turning off the television and putting the radio on And I think I started playing a video game. I don't even remember what it was. But TINO Martinez hit the 2-run homer, and then I went back to watching the game. They ultimately won. The very next night, they were in the same situation, down 2-0, and I did the same exact thing. I turned off the TV because I'm a superstitious guy. And with Scott Brosius coming up to the plate with a man on and down by 2, wouldn't you know, deja vu for the Yankees all over again.
2 out, 2-0 Arizona here in Game 5. Brosius hits one into left. Back at the wall. The Yankees have tied it again.
Never seen anything like it.
Number 4, I have a tie once again between two of the most legendary home runs in the history of Yankee Stadium. The 2003 ALCS was an absolute bloodbath, a complete war between two of the most hated rivals in the history of sports, the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox. The teams have traded back and forth the first 2 games of the series. Game 3, the Yankees were destroying Pedro Martinez, and Pedro got a little upset, threw the ball behind Kareem Garcia, which sparked a lot of animosity. The very bottom of the inning, Roger Clemens threw a pitch that was not close to Manny Ramirez, but Manny Ramirez charged the mound anyway, resulting in a benches-clearing brawl, and Pedro Martinez threw Don Zimmer to the ground. So there was bad blood the entire rest of the series. And once again, the teams traded games back and forth until they came to a Game 7. The New York Yankees were facing Pedro Martinez. The Boston Red Sox were facing Roger Clemens. Roger Clemens did not pitch well at all in that game, and the Yankees found themselves down 4-0 early in the game. Mike Mussina came in with runners on first and third, nobody out, and did not allow a run to score. A couple of solo homers by Jason Giambi cut the lead to 4-2, but a home run by David Ortiz in the top of the 8th made it 5-2. The New York Yankees had an epic comeback in the bottom of the 8th inning as Grady Little decided to stick with Pedro Martinez, even though Pedro Martinez probably should have been out of the game. The game went into the bottom of the 11th inning when Aaron Boone stepped up to face Tim Wakefield, who had won 2 games in this series. And once again, the rest is history.
In the 8th inning, leading by 3 as Boone hits it to deep left. That might send the Yankees to the World Series. Boone, a hero in Game 7.
Also at number 4, I have a home run that is incredibly special to me. Growing up in the 1980s and watching the Yankees, they were not very good in the late 80s. 85 and 86, 87, they had opportunities to win the division and did not. They began to fall off in 1988 and had really poor teams. The one shining light on the New York Yankees in a dark tunnel was Don Mattingly, who was widely considered one of the best hitters in baseball. Don Mattingly never got to play in the postseason until 1995 when the Yankees would win the inaugural wild card and face the Seattle Mariners in one of the greatest series in the history of baseball. Now, this would have been higher on my list had the Yankees went on to win this World Series. Unfortunately, it was absolute heartbreak for me as the Yankees won the first 2 games in New York and ended up losing the last 3 in Seattle. But this moment by Don Mattingly still gives me chills because everybody in that stadium absolutely erupted. I don't know if I've ever heard Yankee Stadium louder than this home run by Don Mattingly. And one thing I want to say about the home run, not only was this home run absolutely legendary, but Gary Thorne's call on this is unbelievable. Joe Buck, go back, listen to Gary Thorne's call here, and take notes. Don Mattingly's home run, Game 2, 1995, ALDS.
Don Mattingly. The fans want a dinger out of him. This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof. Goodbye, home run. Don Mattingly. His first postseason home run.
1,785 regular season games. And that's a home run trot. Gets a fastball that Bennis tries to go down and in, and Donnie Baseball drops ahead of the bat. 4 for 6 in 2 games. He doesn't put the mustard on it like Sierra. He runs around the bases the way they used to.
At number 3, I have, which most people will probably have at number 1, and that is the 2007 Giants winning Super Bowl 42. There were a lot of questions surrounding the Giants going into the season. Would Tom Coughlin make it through the year without being fired? Could Eli Manning make it through the season without being benched? And what was Michael Strahan going to do? Was he going to play? He held out the entire training camp but did come back for the regular season. The New York Giants got off to an awful start, giving up 80 points in their first 2 games and going 0-2. They were down 17-0 to the Redskins at the half in Week 3. They came back to win that game and then won their next 5 to go 6-2. They struggled down the stretch to finish 10-6, but the last game of the regular season, the Giants had nothing to play for as they had already clinched a wild card. But they decided to play their starters against the New England Patriots, who were looking to become an undefeated team in the regular season. The New York Giants gave the Patriots all they wanted, ended up losing the game 38-35. But this game gave the New York Giants a ton of confidence. They went into Tampa Bay and handily beat the Bucs 24-14. They then went into Dallas and beat the 13-3 Cowboys 21-17, which was closed out on an interception by R.W. McQuarters in the end zone. They then went into Lambeau Field, which was going to be Brett Favre's last game supposedly, and beat the Green Bay Packers in a frigid minus 20 to 25 degree Lambeau Field on a Lawrence Tynes 47-yard field goal in overtime to send them into the Super Bowl. Nobody gave the Giants a chance against New England as they were a 14-point underdog. The Giants once again played them very tough in a defensive battle, but Randy Moss scored a touchdown to put the Patriots up 14-10 with 2 minutes and 46 seconds to go in the game. The Giants, needing a miracle to pull this out, got one of the most improbable, legendary plays in the history of football. A 32-yard pass from Eli Manning to David Tyree, which ultimately set up Plaxico Burress's game-winning touchdown. Here it is.
3rd down and 5. Pressure from Thomas off the edge. Eli Manning stays on his feet. Airs it out down the field. It is caught by Tyree.
Oh my God. This ball's thrown and Tyree just goes up for it like a basketball player. Harrison trying to knock it down. And Eli, man, I don't know how he got out of there. I thought he was on the ground and then he came out of the pile and just slings it. That's a great catch by David Tyree.
And now with 59 seconds left, the Giants needing a touchdown. 39 seconds left. Manning lobs it. Burress alone. Touchdown, New York.
Take a look at this route here by Plaxico Burress. A great job. Ellis Hobbs in coverage. He starts to the inside just enough to sell the slant. And then he goes to the corner, and it worked beautifully. Eli Manning puts a little pump fake on him to get him to bite, and then goes to the corner.
The Giants have won the Super Bowl. It will go down as one of the biggest upsets in Super Bowl history as the Giants win it by 3.
Number 2, I have the 1990 Giants winning Super Bowl 25. The 1990 Giants started off the season 10-0. but would lose 3 out of their next 4 games, including one to the San Francisco 49ers, who they would meet up with in the NFC Championship game, and one to the Buffalo Bills, who they would meet up with in the Super Bowl. In the Buffalo Bills game, the Giants lost Phil Simms for the season to a broken foot, and at that point, Jeff Hostetler had come in, a journeyman backup quarterback his entire career. Nobody gave the Giants much of a chance to do anything in the playoffs, as they won their last 2 games unimpressively against 2 weak teams. Against the Bears in the divisional playoff, they were led by their unbelievable defense and Jeff Hostetler beating the Bears 31-3. But in the process, they lost their young stud running back Rodney Hampton to a broken leg, which put O.J. Anderson center and front. O.J. Anderson did a fantastic job. The Giants went on to win. They would go into Candlestick Park to face the San Francisco 49ers, who were looking to become the first team to three-peat in the Super Bowl era. The New York Giants found themselves trailing 13-9 when Leonard Marshall delivered one of the most unforgettable hits in the history of the NFL. He destroyed Joe Montana. The ball was loose. The 49ers eventually recovered it, but they lost Joe Montana for the game. The New York Giants fought back behind 4 field goals by Matt Barr and trailed 13-12 late in the game. The San Francisco 49ers, led by Steve Young, were driving down the field when Eric Howard knocked the ball loose from Roger Craig, and it was recovered by Lawrence Taylor. The New York Giants then found themselves in field goal range, and from 42 yards away, Matt Barr hit one of the most legendary field goals in the history of the New York Giants, sending the New York Giants to Super Bowl 25.
Here's Montana, long time in the pocket, but chased out, finally hit from behind. The ball's loose, and turnover maybe. I hear him say red ball. That's 49er ball. And Montana still on his hands and knees. Montana up. But woozy. No doubt about that. And the kick is good. There will be no three-peat. The Giants win it 15-13.
After defeating the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game, the Giants found themselves once again big underdogs against the explosive offense of the K-Gun and the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills were led by quarterback Jim Kelly and explosive running back Thurman Thomas. They also had incredible receivers in James Lofton and Andre Reed. The New York Giants went into this game looking to shorten the game by possessing the ball for as long as they could, keeping that explosive offense off the field. The game plan succeeded as the New York Giants set the Super Bowl record for time of possession by possessing the ball for over 40 minutes of the game. There were no turnovers by either team in this game, and it's widely considered one of the greatest Super Bowls in the history of the NFL. The New York Giants found themselves down 12-3 late in the second quarter before Jeff Hostetler drove the Giants down the field 87 yards to cut the lead to 12-10 before the half. The New York Giants came out in the third quarter and executed one of the longest touchdown drives in the history of the Super Bowl by possessing the ball for over 9 minutes, finishing with a 1-yard run by O.J. Anderson, which put the Giants up 17-12. Thurman Thomas gave the Buffalo Bills the lead 19-17 with a 31-yard touchdown run early in the fourth quarter. The Giants would come back with another great drive of their own and would go up 20-19 on a field goal by Matt Barr. The game came down to the very waning seconds. The Buffalo Bills found themselves in long field goal range, and they depended on Scott Norwood to kick them to a Super Bowl championship. While Scott Norwood gets a lot of flack for missing this field goal, he was always very poor on grass, and a 47-yard field goal is not an easy field goal to kick. But with that said, this kick, no good, wide right, my second favorite New York sports moment of all time.
There are photographers and people all over the field, but the clock still has 4 seconds on it. When you keep the ball for over 40 minutes of a ball game, your offensive line did a wonderful job.
At number 1, I have the 1996 Yankees winning the World Series. Now, I'd followed the Yankees since 1984, but I'd never seen them win a World Series until 1996. I was heartbroken in 1994 as the New York Yankees had the best record in the American League, but late in August, the baseball season was canceled due to a strike, and there was no World Series. The next year, the New York Yankees would come back and win the inaugural wild card, only to lose in heartbreaking fashion to the Seattle Mariners, dropping 3 straight in Seattle, as I had to watch Ken Griffey Jr. and company celebrate a huge victory. 1996 Yankees had a great series against the Baltimore Orioles, led by one of the most controversial homers in the history of baseball, and Jeffrey Murray reached his glove out and pulled Derek Jeter's ball into the stands for a home run. They went on to face the Atlanta Braves, who were widely considered the best team in baseball, with an incredible pitching staff led by Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, and John Smoltz. In Game 1, the Yankees sent out 21-game winner Andy Pettitte to face an incredible Braves lineup. And young Andrew Jones hit 2 homers as the Braves destroyed the Yankees 12-1 in Game 1 of the series.
His second postseason home run, and it's 2-0 Braves in the second. Depending on this 3-2 pitch. Into left field. Well hit. Strawberry back at the wall. Another home run for Andrew Jones. A 2-run homer. A 3-run homer. And all of a sudden, it's 8-0 Atlanta here in the third. What a performance by the 19-year-old Andrew Jones.
After losing Game 1 in embarrassing fashion, the next night the Yankees came back with a new determination. But ultimately, they were shut down by the incredible pitching of Greg Maddux, who shut the Yankees out 4-0. The Yankees found themselves in a 2-0 hole, and they went to Fulton County Stadium, huge underdogs. Behind a gutsy performance by David Cohn and a late home run by Bernie Williams, the Yankees were able to hang on and win the game 5-2, cutting the series lead to 2-1. In Game 4, Kenny Rogers was the starting pitcher for the New York Yankees, and he got rocked, giving up 6 runs in the first 5 innings. The Yankees found themselves trailing 6-0 going into the top of the 6th. The Yankees were able to cut the lead in half, 6-3. The Braves held that lead all the way until the top of the 8th inning. With 2 men on and 2 men out, Jim Leyritz was facing Mark Wohlers, who was a fireballer, was able to throw the ball at 100 miles an hour, which was a rare feat back then. Well, instead of throwing a fastball because Jim Leyritz seemed to be on it, Mark Wohlers hung a 2-2 slider, and the rest is history.
2-2 pitch. Hit in the air. Deep left field. Playing back. Andrew Jones at the wall. Looking. Goodbye. Home run. Tie game. Jimmy Leyritz has tied this game up on a 3-run homer.
Everybody out of the dugout. Another breaking ball. We were talking about bad breaking balls from Wohlers. You actually give the hitter too much credit. You speed up his bat. The biggest home run for Jimmy Leyritz in this postseason. Second of the postseason, reminiscent of the game-winning home run he had against Seattle in last year. Watch the breaking ball. Don't even have to worry. It's going to be hanging inside where it was. Leyritz gets good extension. 3-run homer, and the Yankees have come all the way back.
He goes for the dramatics, doesn't he?
Perez felt he was able to throw one good one. He didn't get it where he wanted, and it's a 3-run homer for Leyritz. Look at the bench, the reaction. Popeye, look at Zimmer jumping out of the dugout. Popeye's got to watch out. He's going to blow a gasket coming out of there.
What keeps him young?
Watch Wohlers' reaction. He knows he didn't get it where he wanted to. Now he's just hoping it stays in the ballpark. It doesn't.
Jimmy Leyritz with 2 postseason home runs this year and 6 RBIs. His first of the World Series. An amazing comeback by the Yankees.
After tying the series at 2, the New York Yankees sent out Andy Pettitte once again in Game 5 in a pivotal matchup in a 2-2 series. Andy Pettitte, who had gotten rocked by Andrew Jones and the Atlanta Braves in Game 1, came back with a new determination and battled John Smoltz throughout the entire game. The Yankees held a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the ninth, as John Wetland, who he'd done all year, gave the Yankees heart attacks by putting men on but always seeming to escape. He brought up Luis Polonia up by a run with 2 men on and 2 men out, and the game was ended on a great catch by Paul O'Neill, giving the Yankees a 3-2 lead in the series.
0-2 from Wetland. Into right field. O'Neill is there. Ball game. Yankees win 1-0 as Wetland saves it for Andy Pettitte.
Play by Paul O'Neill to end it.
O'Neill with that bad hamstring we've been talking about. Full extension at the end of that play. Comes up limping. Yeah.
After closing out the Braves in Game 5, the New York Yankees took a 3-2 series lead back to the Bronx in hopes of closing out their first World Series title since 1978. They got off to a great start when Joe Girardi lined a triple over the head of Marquise Grissom that absolutely shook the pillars of Yankee Stadium. The Yankees would be up 3-0 in the game. The Braves would cut it to 3-2 in the bottom of the ninth inning. They had a couple of runners on and 2 men away. And the batter was Mark Lemke, the little big man who had been so clutch for the Braves. He stepped up with a chance to give the Braves the tie or the lead in the bottom of the ninth as John Wetland tried to close it out for the Yankees. The rest is history.
Into center field. That will put the Yankees on top. It's over the head of Grissom. O'Neill scores. Girardi is chugging for 3. It's an RBI triple and the Yankees lead by 1.
Girardi gets a pitch up in the strike zone. Marquise Grissom playing a very shallow center field, and he just drives it over his head. One of the few mistakes you'll see Greg Maddux make up high in the strike zone, and Girardi wasn't about to let it pass.
I'm going to say it again just to make you 2 guys mad. He can run for a catcher. Another chance to the left side. Hayes waits. The Yankees are champions of baseball.
So there you have it, guys. My all-time top 10 favorite New York sports moments since I've been following all of my teams. If you watched the whole thing, I greatly appreciate it very much. If you like what you saw, please hit that like button. And don't forget to hit that big red button that starts with an S. I greatly appreciate you guys hanging out with me all the time and doing this. I had a fun time making this video. And do me a favor, leave a comment. Let me know what your top 10 is, whether it be a New York moment, whether it be a Pittsburgh moment, New England moment, whatever it is. I would love to hear your thoughts. Once again, I thank you for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. I had a fun time making it. Y'all have a good day. It's Bad Dog, and I'm out. Peace!